F1 America, baby! You're telling me these guys can turn left and right?
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the F1 America podcast here on this beautiful Sao Paulo race review. Alongside me is Nathaniel Lawler.
What up?
Come on. We're starting the first episode. If you haven't tuned into the intro episode, go check it out now before we jump into the Sao Paulo race review. Natty, here we go.
Here we are, baby.
Let's go.
We're back, baby. We're back. We're back. Episode 1, which is our second episode. Kind of confusing. Matt, people have been asking, when is the next episode going to drop? Davey's been asking. Ryan's been asking.
Shout out Ryan.
Hope has been asking. People are wondering, when are we going to have more content to listen to? Also, shout out to Davey. He told me that he had this podcast. It was the only thing downloaded on his phone when he was on a long mountain bike ride, so he was forced to listen to it multiple times.
Forced, more like blessed to listen to it.
Yeah, there we are. There we are, baby. It's just that good, you know? He's a lucky man.
Dude, let's give some context here. Obviously, we're jumping into the Sao Paulo race review. We'll get into it. Insane race for some ways, other ways, huge disasters. But we have the luxury of hindsight on this one because we're here in January.
Yeah.
Looking back on the 2025 season, recapping.
Yeah, we're post 2025, and what are we, like 50, 60 days away from preseason testing of 2026, which we can talk about later.
Dude, couple car launches are right around the corner, getting ready to show the liveries and what they have.
Yeah, so the season's over, but we thought it would be advantageous to go back and kind of just talk about, hey, how did the season end? There's obviously a lot that happened before it, but the season end was really exciting in my mind in 2025. It was way more exciting than I thought it was going to be.
For sure.
In the middle of call it like 3/4 of the way through, or really especially halfway through, right after summer break, I think both of us kind of thought that the season was going to be swept away by McLaren. Oscar Piastri looked like he was in really, really good form at the Dutch Grand Prix. And so he was like over 100 points ahead of Max at that point. He was a little bit ahead of Lando. Lando and Oscar looked like they were just going to run away with it. But in the middle of the second half of this season, 3/4 through, Max started doing really well. And then Sao Paulo felt like this kind of pivotal race, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, just from historic context, the previous season in 2024, we just saw Lando fanboy here. Lando fanboy.
Matt and actually, I'm going to back Matt up here because there are a lot of people who are huge McLaren fans right now. In the last 2 years have started just wearing orange. Oh, look, Matt's got the Legos. He just held up the Lego McLaren car. Matt has been a McLaren fan for the last 5 or 6 years, when they were literally the worst team on the grid. He loved Lando from the start. He has been when Carlos Sainz was there, he was a freaking McLaren fan. He's been there. So I have to credit
you
Matt
should have seen
to
me
not
when
being a fair weather fan.
When Lando is going to win the Russian Grand Prix in that wet weather race, and he tried staying on the slicks and then just lost it, I was devastated. That was for his first podium.
There's
win.
There's some Lando lore. Yeah, no, Matt he should be rewarded and acknowledged for not being a fair weather McLaren fan, because there are so many fair weather McLaren fans in F1
Haters want to hate
now.
when you're on top, baby.
Yeah, no, it's sick, dude. So congrats to you. But anyways,
yeah, context.
Context.
Context there is 2024. Lando choked. It's the pressure got to him. He was on form, could compete with Max, and then Max just did the Max things off the start, and I think just gave Lando the yips.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing we know, Max is just running away with it. So to that preface, getting to Sao Paulo, anything could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I saw Oscar running away with it because I just figured it would get to Lando's head.
Yeah.
But
it really felt like a Max and Lando fight. Because to set the stage for Sao Paulo, looking back, basically Max had to start from the pit lane, and he had to
Yep.
start from the pit lane because he had to change his power unit, correct?
Yeah. There was after qualifying, they had to make some adjustments. So
Yeah.
they fixed the car, started from pit lane.
And so for some context and like background for anyone who doesn't know that much about F1, basically these cars have really complicated engines, and these engines have a lot of different parts to them. Basically, the engines, because they're so complicated and such a like crazy piece of engineering, they don't have the life to last for the entire season. So the engine that you have in your car at the beginning of the F1 season is not the engine that you have at the end. Like any normal car, like there's wear and tear, and things break down, and so you're having to repair stuff. Basically, to keep teams from switching out that entire engine block every single time, and like keeping an advantage and having insane costs associated with that rebuild process, there is a limit to how many power units, which is the same terminology for an engine, you can have in an F1 car over the course of a season. And so Max at this point had reached his limit, but needed to make a change. So because of that, there are certain penalties, one of those being you're dropped so many grid places that you start from the pit lane. That's more or less it.
Yeah, and starting from the pit lane, the big disadvantage there is when everyone starts off the lights, you have to wait until the whole pack clears that first turn where the pit exit is before you can be released. So you're starting from the back of the grid. Period. And the only way you're not starting is if someone else took a penalty with you.
Totally. Even to like dumb it down even more, the pit lane is a different part of the track than the starting grid. So again, maybe Davey, this is for you listening, explaining this to you. Hope, shout out. The starting grid is actually on the track, and the pit lane is a section typically next to the starting grid where you can pull off, and that's where you get new tires. That's where you maybe make adjustments to your wing mid-race. It's where all the garages and the pit crews and the teams are located. It's off of the track. So there's a ton of disadvantage to starting from there, that you can't jockey for position. And so Max was starting this race from the pit lane. There was one other person starting from the pit lane. I can't remember who it was. Was it maybe I can't actually remember, but so Max was in front of that person. So he was technically 19th because there were 18 other cars on the grid starting, and then Max was the first in the pit lane. So Max was starting from 19th, more or less.
Yeah. And I think that's worth jumping into it as part, like this race review. Max, hands down, just asserted his dominance above every other driver. I mean, most people in America know Lewis Hamilton just because Lewis has been the guy for Mercedes forever. Currently, he's with Ferrari, but everyone knows him from his time at Mercedes. And just
7 world titles.
Just absolutely crushing it. And he's just I'd say he's more engaged in our pop culture than most other drivers.
Yeah. He's kind of like the Instagram boy.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities know him, want to link up with him. That's why you'll see Beyonce and Jay-Z on the sideline at Miami and Vegas cheering him on.
So sick.
Like, Max just has separated himself. Arguably, he's above Lewis at this point. To be able to go from pit lane to finishing P3 in this race is insane, because his car is not the best car on the grid. McLaren's best car on the grid. Arguably, Mercedes' car is up there as well. Ferrari, questionable, but we look at Yuki Tsunoda, who finished last in this race, and same car as Max, but Max is sticking in P3 coming from the pit lane is just insane.
Totally. Yeah, this race, I mean, I love Brazil. I think if you are listening and there's like, what's one race that I should watch in the F1 season? Brazil is actually my pick. I think it's year over year my favorite because it's typically a really rainy race. Like, there's a lot of variables. The track is really interesting. It's like a historic track. Oftentimes a lot of fun things happen here. There's also multiple overtake zones traditionally here, which allows for there to be like a lot of passing. But Yeah, I think this one, Matt just hinted to it. Max went from 19th to 3rd, where he finally finished in 3rd place without a major intervention, being like a safety car that allowed him to gain a bunch of positions. He actually had a puncture.
Yep.
And had to pit early. So like there was a chance that he could have even gone further up the grid and taken 2nd or maybe even won. And there was just this crazy narrative throughout the whole race where he just kept passing people, and his performance was so good. His driving was amazing. And it really even reminded me, Matt, of last year where he also went, I think, was it 19th? Did he start 19th?
He went 17th.
17th last
first.
year? Yeah, he won last year from 17th. It was a really rainy race and there was a lot of intervention, but Max is just a dog in the rain. And that's like what a lot of people typically say is like the best drivers in the world show that they're the best in their wet weather driving, because it's so difficult to be good, consistent, like driving these F1 cars, which are so squirrely in the rain.
Yeah.
So
and
that,
I think,
that's the story I feel like from this race mainly.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point about also why we're doing this race review rather than going back to the start of the season, is because like shit started happening this race. Going into it, you're looking at Max in the pit lane after Lando looks like he's about to run away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are just thinking, okay, it's between Lando, maybe Oscar.
Yeah, kind of like Max isn't going to score any
Mm-hmm.
points. Like the differential is going to grow like crazy. There's no way Max catches back up. But then he claws his way literally up to 3rd and beats Oscar.
Yeah, and granted, at the end of this race, he is still a long shot from winning the Drivers' Championship. Totally. There's so much that needs to happen for him to be even in contention. But just to stick it on P3 is insane. And I think that was one of the huge aspects that made these next races, like the Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi races, worth watching, because there's still a mathematical chance. And you realize that Max is still Max. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be kind of tuned out for the end of the season, because I thought it was going to be over and it was just going to be like no stakes for the last races. But Sao Paulo kind of gave a breath of life to the rest of the season. And yeah, Max he just did Max things. He's so fun to watch. And it really was one of those races, especially, I mean, I was just thinking so much about 2024 and his performance there. Like to be able to just do this again and again was so amazing. And for context too, they said this during the race. The best finish from pit lane on record was P2, and Max, if he was so close to passing Kimi Antonelli at the end, like he almost tied the record for the best finish ever from pit lane.
He could have won it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. So it was super fun watching Max. I think this is the type of race that gets me into F1 and gets me like coming back to it, because it was just so fun.
And Natty, I think it's worth mentioning is we're talking about Max and this lens of Sao Paulo and the rest of the season, because there's the driver championship that's on the line. Yeah. Some people might not know what a driver championship is.
Yeah, why don't you break that down, kind of that versus the Constructors Championship, because there are those two different standings that are happening throughout the season. So how does someone, quote unquote, win F1?
Yeah, so starting with the easier one, Constructors Championships, that's why you see teams. So you'll see 2 cars on the grid for each team. So McLaren, Oscar and Lando, Ferrari, Hamilton and Leclerc, and you'll see those pairs of 2 because they're operating as a team. They're still competing individually because they want to win the Drivers' Championship. But the Constructors' Championship takes the total points of the team's finishes and puts them essentially on a standings list.
And so how many teams are there?
So right now we have, let's list them off. We have McLaren, we have Ferrari, we have Mercedes, we have Racing Bulls, or whatever name they want to go by.
Red Bull.
We have Kick Sauber, we have Alpine, we have Williams, we have Haas, and we have Aston Martin. Looking forward, we're going to have Audi next year.
Which is Cadillac.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have all of these teams, and each of those teams have 2 drivers.
Yeah. So
And
10 teams, 20 drivers on the grid in this previous season. And then going forward, we have 11 teams and 22 drivers.
Yep. And so on top of that, the top 10 finishers are the ones who get points. So if you finish first, you get 25 points. Second is 18, third, 15, fourth, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 10th place gets 1. So as a team finishes, so if you have a team finish in 10th and first, they get a total of 26 points towards their constructors standings.
Okay.
So that's the constructor side. In the same vein, taking those same points, say this race, Lando ran away with it. He got 25 points finishing in first place. So that goes towards his driver points. So that's where they compete individually against each other because they're trying to win. Essentially, it's the ultimate bragging right.
Yes.
That you're the driver.
Yes.
And on top of it, it's a bragging right against your teammate is I'm a better driver than you because I did better than you throughout the season.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm that number one driver on the team. It is kind of an alpha game. Like Max is obviously the number one driver on Red Bull. And yeah, it's like no one, I feel like within the broadcasting of F1, no one explicitly says this, but it's so implicit that the Drivers' Championship is so much greater than the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, because McLaren wrapped it up for the Constructors' Championship mid-season. Like mathematically, they had scored enough points that no other team could catch up to them because Lando and Oscar had finished so high as a team that no one could mathematically catch up. So they had won the Constructors' Championship, which is their second year doing so.
Yeah, and when you talk about like impact, when people talk about impact and like what matters, it feels like the conversation really revolves around drivers' championships, and who the best driver this season is versus really who the best team is. In a lot of ways, like it still is a big deal. Like for McLaren, stoked that they won, but I don't feel as if people reflect so much so on, hey, who's winning the most drivers' championships in the past, or the most constructors' championships in the past, versus how many did this driver win? Like, Lewis has had 7, Michael Schumacher's had 7, Anton Senna had 4, Prost had 3. Like, there's all of the people reflect, I feel like, based on the driver.
Yeah. And I feel like the Constructors' Championship is really just a big round of applause for all the engineers on the back end, for all the people who are designing the car.
Building the best car. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, this is where you and I nerd out of like, okay, is it good under braking and turns? Is it fast on straight line speed? It's like all those variables they're accounting for because they see the race as a time duration and how quickly can we finish the race in the least amount of time. And then that's really the engineers doing of building the actual machine.
Totally.
The engine, the pieces. That's where you could have an absolute shit driver, an amazing car, and they're up in the driver standings purely because they have an insane car. And I think that's also why so many people have been tooting Max's horn this year, because Red Bull's car is not that great. It's just Max is that insane and pulls everything out of that car.
Yeah, and it's like not that Yuki, because Yuki Tsunoda is this Japanese kid. He's Max's teammate. He is a good driver. Like, he's not going to be on the grid this next year. But I think, like, it needs to be said that Yuki is a really good driver. But for years prior, he was at Racing Bulls, which is the other Red Bull-owned team. And he performed really, really well there. And this year, like, he has just not driven that car well at all. And then Max has driven it incredibly. So, like, which does speak to, like, I do love having 2 drivers driving the same spec car. Granted, I think they've set that car up for Max a little bit more than they have for Yuki, given Max's driving style. There's a really cool clip from Alex Albon, who's a previous teammate of Max, talking about how the car is very hard to drive because of how Max likes to drive it. But regardless, McLaren had the better car, and a race like this just showed how dominant Max was.
Yeah. And that's why I think the context of understanding, if you're going to jump into Formula One and start following along, that's really what you're paying attention to. In the same way NFL looks at standings, like if you're getting 8 wins, you're going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You're following less the constructors and more the drivers championship.
Mm-hmm.
And partly why I feel like this Sao Paulo race is where we wanted to start our recaps from the season.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where it really boiled down to Oscar, Max, and Lando. Who's going to win the Drivers' Championship? Constructors was done. Everyone else is really just fighting to keep their seat or just make it harder on the other 3 to win a Drivers' Championship to make them actually earn it. So this race, that's where we're really just following those 3 drivers. And I guess this is a great transition point, Natty. It's like, what are your thoughts on Oscar? It's like during this race, it's like, is he going to be able to make it? Like, explain what was going on in like his car and what you saw from Oscar this race.
So there's a sprint race before,
which is a whole nother thing we'll get into later.
But he crashed. I feel like going into the race, maybe there was something of just like already feeling like he's on the back foot. And not that Oscar did terrible in this race. Like he made up a lot of places. But I don't know. I feel like he just really wasn't driving as well in the end of the season. And sometimes that happens. Like in the middle of the season, he was just running away. Like he was winning a bunch of races. He looked like he couldn't make a single mistake. Lando was making every mistake for McLaren. Oscar had a pretty perfect record, it felt like. And then around this time, he just kind of looked more average, and I'm not totally sure why. Like, why do you think?
And it was almost like an exact scenario to Lando last year. Like, for me watching,
no,
it,
that
like,
makes sense.
And it was almost hard to fathom because whenever you look at any press conference or just Oscar on the grid, the dude is just stone cold. It's like there's nothing that shakes him, and I'm always just so in awe when he puts on a performance like this.
Totally.
Where he just like, what happened? And it was a race where I genuinely thought the pressure had gotten to him and there's no recovering from it. Like, granted, he still finished P4, P5. Yeah, P5. So he still got decent points, but on that is, it just gives Lando the edge up towards the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
And it was just surprising to me to see his poor form, and then poor Ferrari in the midst of it is Oscar took turn 1 and shunted Kimi Antonelli into Leclerc, and Antonelli's car just whiplashed and hit Leclerc's tire and absolutely just sent it down the road.
Yeah.
And
Leclerc got bumped out of the race. No, and then Lewis took some damage from his front wing. That was tough. Yeah, it was a tough one for Ferrari. The thing that's interesting to me more than Ferrari, though, and I want to hear your take on it, is who the other person that drove really, really well this race was besides Max.
Yeah, dude. Ollie Baerman, like in the Haas, I was in awe. I mean, typically for people who don't understand the Haas car, the sad part is it's the one U.S. team at this point.
Well, we got Cadillac. Cadillac's coming.
Now.
Which we are both going to become Cadillac fans.
Dude, it's hard not to be a Valtteri Bottas fan.
We will be Cadillac fans. Let's just quick tangent before we start talking about Ollie. Hey, look, you've had a great run, Matt, with McLaren. I'm excited for you. Congratulations. You're not wearing orange anymore. You're not a McLaren fan anymore. We are Cadillac fans. It's the only true American constructor. It's us. We're F1 America. We are Cadillac fans.
Okay. I mean, I can jump on it. If you Google a picture of Valtteri Bottas, you'll either see a picture of his ass or a picture of him with this slick back mullet, a mustache, and like pit viper-esque glasses.
What's the picture of his butt?
Dude, don't you remember from the Netflix documentary, Drive to Survive? He was in, because he's a Finnish guy.
Oh, he was like doing
in the sauna.
And they just freaking pulled out his freaking booty?
Yeah, just full bare ass.
On blast. No, dude, Valtteri's great. He is a really good biker, too. It's funny. I like follow him in the off season because he does a ton of gravel biking, which I love. and he freaking smokes it on a bike. He's a really good athlete.
Yeah, dude, he's insane. But when it comes, so aside from Cadillac, Haas has been the America team. And quite literally, they have sucked.
They're
They're
so
tremendously
bad, dude.
Like, they have been the worst for a while. But I would say these last 2 seasons, they've been getting slowly better. But for most times, you expect Haas to finish in the bottom tier of the grid.
The bottom half, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ollie is this rookie driver in this absolute dump truck of a car.
Yeah.
And he somehow sticks a P6 finish, getting 8 points, which for a team like that, 8 points is huge. Because those bottom tier, and maybe I should have mentioned this when we're talking about constructors, teams will continue to fight towards the end of the season for constructors because they get massive payouts based on where they finish. Like hundreds of millions of dollars that they can then go put towards their car.
So for Ollie to have a performance like that and get P6 and get 8 points is huge for a team like Haas, because they're typically not racking up that many points, whereas, McLaren has like almost 800 points at the end of the season. It's crazy. For those bottom 5 teams, those bigger points finishes mean a ton. The other thing to me, Matt, that's so cool about Ollie, he represents something to me about F1 that I love, which is just these young drivers in typically bad cars. You kind of see them shine. And it's like, oh, this kid, once he gets brought up into a good team, is going to be a really exciting person to watch. And like, for more background, we could probably have a whole other episode on just like how people get into an F1 seat. But Ollie had a really dominating career in Formula 2, which is the precursor to Formula 1. Smaller engine, smaller cars, more cars, but like, yeah, Ollie was just really good. And he actually, he hopped in a Ferrari last season for Carlos Sainz when Carlos Sainz got appendicitis before it wasn't Singapore, was it? It was a street circuit. It might have been Singapore.
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
What was it? I can't remember exactly, but he got in a Ferrari and did super well. He got like, I think 6th or 8th. Something like that. It might have been 6th place last year. So we saw Ollie last year, and a moment like this for him in Sao Paulo was just so exemplary of like, this kid is a really good driver. He's this young British kid. He's doing a lot with what he's given. And it is pretty awesome. So it was really exciting.
In fact, check, it was Saudi Arabia. He finished.
Saudi. Okay, cool.
Which was still phenomenal. Like you don't see rookie drivers come in and do something insane like that.
No, even in a good car. In a good car.
Just because it's such a dramatic jump from what they're driving in F2.
Yeah, he's a dog. There's a couple other guys that are coming up that also seem like they're going to be some freaking dogs. Which, by the way, this is also another tangent. We're kind of going along, and we can wrap back around it, but this is our podcast, so we get to do whatever the frick we want.
You tell me.
Isaac Hadjar. He was with Racing Bulls.
Yep.
But he's not going to be Max's teammate? Max has another teammate?
No, it's Isaac. There is a lot of speculation, mainly because
wasn't there like a reserve
the second
drive?
seat?
Yeah, but is I just saw some video with Max and some other kid. Maybe it's their reserve driver, or the new driver for. Yeah, it's probably a new driver for Racing Bulls. Never mind, discard that. Anyways, Isaac is another guy who's like a new because it was last year Isaac's rookie season, or was this?
No, this year was his rookie season. This year, Kimi, Ollie.
And Isaac and Gabriel Bortoletto.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, I mean, Isaac is another guy who's just this
technically Colapinto. He had a couple drives.
Oh yeah, Colapinto's fake nose, dude.
Oh, is he in a shit box or is he a fake driver? I mean, we could have a Latifi here.
Oh gosh, yeah, seriously. But yeah, Ollie did so well in Sao Paulo and really, really crushed. I can also appreciate Kimi Antonelli and his defense of Max towards the end. I thought he drove really well to hold off Max, and Kimi had a second place finish, which was a big deal. But yeah, hey, besides that, any other takeaways for you from this Grand Prix?
Dude, other than that, I think if you're going to watch a recap of one, I mean, YouTube F1 puts on highlights or races in 30 minutes. Like, just check this race out if you're starting to get into it.
Oh,
it's
so
a great
fun.
one.
It's a great 30 minutes.
But there's some great races throughout the years. There's some absolutely terrible races that are so boring.
Yeah.
But this one just had a lot of interesting things happening between all of the drivers across the grid, let alone the finish. And that's going to set us up for our Vegas review and the rest of the season. But aside from that, I think I want to end on a new segment here, Natty. Legends and losers.
Yes, this is our draft.
Yes. Now, Natty, legends and losers of this race. Hit me with your biggest legend from this race.
My legend of the week. Shout out also to Chad and JT, their podcast. This is totally inspired by them. My legend of the week for Sao Paulo is the tire of Charles Leclerc. When it got freaking Piastri just comes in, boops Kimi into turn one. Kimi boops Leclerc, and his tire comes off of his car. And so this happens fairly often, like where if there's a crash, people's tires will pop out. And usually it's just like all the debris goes to the side. This tire, it rolled past turn 2 into turn 3 and like down the straight. It kept going. And when I was watching this, like mid race, I felt like I was rooting for the tire, because it was going faster than Charles Leclerc. It was just so funny. Like when you see something where, and even the announcers at the time were like, oh, and the tire's still rolling. There's a tire. And I was pretty stoked, honestly, for that tire, just to have kind of felt like it was free, like it was set free, and it just like was going into the sunset, gone forever.
Yeah, I don't think Leclerc was rooting for the tire at that point.
No, but I love so my legend of the week is that tire, which found its home. It was set free. How about you, Matt? Who is your legend of the week?
Dave, you're going to love this. My legend of the week is Lance Stroll. He didn't finish in last place.
I gotta go, man. I gotta go, dude.
Lance Stroll finishes in 16th, and Yuki Tsunoda finishes last place in 17th.
Oh, man. Wow.
Absolute legend. Nepotism is not a thing. This dude deserved to be on the grid.
Oh, God. He's so bad. He's so bad. He's such a bad driver, Matt. It's like, okay, we'll have another episode on Lance Stroll. We'll
break it down.
God, it's terrible.
That's my legend, Natty. Now let's talk about losers. Who's
loser of the week? Man, this one feels easy for me. It's Gabriel Bortoleto is my loser of the week.
He had a poor form this weekend.
Yeah, it was tough. So some background. Gabby is a Brazilian citizen. He's from Brazil. Brazil like loves F1, not as much as they love soccer, but it's like they love F1, and then they love a Brazilian Pope in Pope Francis, and then they love frickin' F1. Or wait, no, soccer, Pope, F1. That's the order. And they they have all this legacy with Ayrton Senna and like all this fandom with him. And so I was stoked to see Gabby come back and have a Brazilian Grand Prix. I didn't expect him to do super well, but just to like be cheered in through the finish line even.
Dude.
And, he has this sprint race and has this huge crash in the sprint race where he yeeted his freaking car. It was one of the most intense crashes of the whole season. But he like caught air and like went into the barrier and crashed, and that was a bummer. And then, here's this race and like lap 1, I think. Was it lap 1? He went into the barrier? I think it was
1 or 2.
I think it was the opening lap. Yeah. He said that Lance Stroll pushed him off, which probably did.
For sure.
And he went to the barrier and went out of the race. I was super bummed to see Gabby not be in this race.
And that's the hard part about that is you see a statesman go into his home country and you just want him like Gabby's
You're rooting for him. You're
he's
so
in the
rooting
Kick
for him.
Sauber, and it's like Hulkenberg put it. What was that? P4, P5, or that was P3. He got P3 early in the season.
Yeah,
and
at
on the podium.
Silverstone. Yeah,
so you're like, okay, maybe Gabby can go in and do
could
something.
do something.
Like
yeah,
that.
some rain comes in.
No.
Yeah. No, so that was Gabby's my loser of the week. It was a bummer. I feel for him. He seems like a nice kid.
Dude, mine is just as depressing as yours.
Tell me.
Ferrari team.
Yeah.
Dude, the Italians are ready to burn the boats. I am telling you.
Dude.
Like, it's just,
they had a
you
sad
have
year.
Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc.
Two of the best drivers. Like, unequivocally, two of the best drivers to ever do it.
And so you have these two drivers in a Ferrari. So it totally reflects on this constructor side. It's just like Ferrari's putting together a terrible car.
Yeah.
Granted, like misfortunes for Leclerc, but I mean, it's like you look at Ferrari and it's supposed to be like the cream of the crop. Like you try buying a Ferrari, it's like no chance. What's your net worth, bro? And you need to be like in the inner circle. And here they are getting a double DNF. It is just so depressing to watch, and I can't imagine diehard Ferrari fans. They're probably looking at the bridge and just wondering, do they jump?
Oh God, that's so friggin' dark. Oh yeah, no, that's a loser of the week, man. But
dude, Natty, we've been running for about 40 minutes now. Think we should wrap it up. Any last words for our 4 listeners?
Man, love you guys. The faithful people who have listened to this. It's so fun. No, it's fun reflecting on the season. I love this race. I love Brazil. And yeah, it is so fun. So fun to like have moments like this in the sport. It's just a blast. So I can't wait to see what Cadillac does.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're going to be releasing the Vegas Grand Prix shortly after, reviewing that race as well. Follow us on socials. It'll be in description on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. But aside from that, we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.